What if the most powerful man in the room, wealthy, untouchable, used to bending the world to his will, was brought to his knees by a single choice? What if that choice wasn't made in a boardroom, but in a place no one expected? And what if everything he thought he controlled, every calculated move, every flawless plan, was just the beginning of his downfall? In a world where every relationship is a transaction, and every emotion a liability, one gamble was never supposed to cost him anything. But how do you win a game when the rules suddenly change? Who really holds the power, the one who plays the game, or the one who sees through it? Stay with this story. The truth will unravel, and no one walks away unscathed. Power wasn't something Knox Wilder chased, it was something he wore like a second skin. At 31, he sat atop one of the largest tech empires in the country, a man whose name opened doors and closed deals with a single glance. Knox didn't ask for permission, he took what he wanted, when he wanted, and life had yet to tell him no. To him, people were puzzles to solve, situations were challenges to conquer. Control wasn't just his preference, it was his addiction. His mornings started with black coffee and stock reports, and ended with whiskey and victories no one dared to question. But 5 miles away from his glass tower, life looked very different. Ivy Quinn moved with purpose behind the counter at McDonald's, her ponytail whipping behind her as she juggled trays, customer orders, and the constant hum of cheap pop music. At 29, she had learned that the world didn't hand out favors, it demanded sacrifices. Her dreams had been packed away long ago, replaced by double shifts and worry lines. Yet, in the midst of exhaustion, she had Lily. The little girl with wild curls and a laugh that could melt concrete. At 5, Lily was all light and wonder, unaware of the battles her mother fought daily to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. "Mommy, when I grow up, can I be a superhero?" Lily had asked one night, her small hand clutching Ivy's finger. Ivy had smiled, hiding the ache in her chest. "You already are, baby. You saved me." To Ivy, love meant sacrifice. To Knox, love didn't exist. Not yet. And somewhere in the shadows of fate, a spark was about to ignite, a reckless challenge, a twisted game, that would collide two worlds built on opposite truths. And change everything. The hum of expensive engines echoed through the parking lot, as 3 blacked-out SUVs pulled up to a rundown McDonald's on the edge of town. The kind of place Knox Wilder would usually pass, without a second glance. But tonight, he was bored, and boredom was dangerous. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glare on plastic trays and worn booths. Knox stepped through the doors, flanked by his usual entourage, men in tailored suits, Rolexes glinting under cheap lighting, amusement flickering in their eyes. "God, it even smells poor in here," one of them muttered, laughing. Knox smirked, sliding his sunglasses off and tucking them into the pocket of his cashmere coat. "Come on, boys. Let's see how the other half lives." They ordered coffee, not because they wanted it, but because they could. As they sat, Caleb Turner leaned back in his seat, the corner of his mouth lifting in a slow, calculated grin. "You know, Knox, I've been thinking." Caleb's voice was lazy, dangerous. "You've conquered everything, companies, women, hell, even politics in some ways. But there's one thing I bet you can't do." Knox raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "I'm listening." "I bet you can't marry a woman who's not from our world. No prenups, no contracts, no games. Real marriage. Real commitment." Knox laughed, the sound low and sharp. "That's the bet. You think I can't charm some small-town girl into falling for me?" Caleb's eyes flicked toward the counter, where Ivy Quinn was handing a tray to a customer, her expression calm, indifferent. "Huh," he said, nodding. Knox followed his gaze. Ivy. There was something about her, strong, untouchable, with a kind of beauty that didn't beg for attention. The way she moved, unbothered by the noise and chaos around her, intrigued him. Most women noticed him the second he walked into a room. Ivy hadn't even glanced their way. "She's different," Caleb said, reading Knox's thoughts. "Not impressed by money, not looking for a handout. Think you can handle that?" Knox's smile deepened, slow and confident. "She's beautiful. And I don't back down from a challenge." He stood, adjusting his cufflinks, eyes locked on Ivy. "Let's play." Knox returned to the McDonald's the next day, alone this time. No entourage. No arrogance. Just calculated charm, cloaked in a designer suit. Ivy was wiping down a table when he walked in, her eyes flicking toward him for half a second before going back to her work. No smile. No recognition. No interest. Knox approached the counter, leaning casually against it. "Coffee. Black." "Like yesterday," he said smoothly. Ivy didn't even glance up. "Name for the order." "Knox." "Okay, Kevin. That'll be $1.89. He chuckled under his breath. "It's Knox." She finally looked at him then, those eyes, sharp and unreadable, scanning him like a puzzle she didn't care enough to solve. "Right. My bad," she said flatly, sliding his change across the counter. "Have a nice day, Mr. Knox." For the first time in years, someone wasn't impressed. Knox found it refreshing. Over the next week, he kept coming back. Always the same order. Always the same indifference. Until one afternoon, he decided to push. "So, do you ever take a break? Or is this your empire?" he asked, smiling. Ivy didn't miss a beat. "Do you always flirt with strangers who clearly want to be left alone?" Knox raised an eyebrow. "Only the ones who are interesting." Ivy stared at him, unimpressed. "And you're who, exactly?" "Some trust fund kid slumming it for kicks." Knox grinned. "You could say I'm in acquisitions." "Great. I'm not for sale." And with that, she walked away. It should have been easy. She should have been easy. But she wasn't, and Knox found himself thinking about her long after he left. One night, a week later, Ivy was taking out the trash behind the restaurant when she heard voices. Knox's voice. Low, amused. She paused, hidden in the shadows. "Come on, Knox," Caleb laughed. "You've had weeks. What's the status? Still think you can get her to marry you?" "It's complicated," Knox admitted. "She's not like the others." "I'm working on it." "Don't go soft on me now," Caleb teased. "You wanted the bet. Just remember the rules, no contracts, no games. Real marriage. Real win." Ivy froze, her heart hammering in her chest. Every word was a blade. She stepped back into the kitchen, her mind racing. He's playing me. This is all a game. But instead of confronting him, she made a choice. She would wait. Watch. Let him dig his own grave. Let's see who's really playing who, she thought. Days turned into weeks. And something began to change. Knox started showing up with small things, coffee for Ivy, coloring books for Lily. He offered to pick Lily up from daycare when Ivy's shift ran late. He brought dinner when she had no time to cook. He didn't push. He didn't brag. He just showed up. One evening, Lily ran to him, arms wide. "Knox, look at my drawing." Knox crouched down, his eyes softening. "This is amazing." "Is that me?" "Uh-huh." You're the superhero. He looked up at Ivy, and for the first time, there was something raw in his eyes. Not control. Not conquest. Something else. Ivy felt the walls around her tremble. She hated him for it. And yet, she couldn't deny it. He was becoming part of their lives. And she didn't know how to stop it. The truth came quietly, almost too quietly. Ivy was at the public library, using the ancient computer systems to print out a resume for a second job. Bills were piling up, and even with Knox's help, she refused to let herself depend on anyone. She was waiting for the printer when her eyes drifted to a newspaper article pinned to the bulletin board. Tech tycoon Knox Wilder shuts down Midwest manufacturing plant, 1,200 jobs lost overnight. Her heart stopped. That plant. That name. She tore the article down, her fingers trembling as she read every word. The date matched the month Lily's mother, her best friend, had lost everything. The article detailed how Wilder Technologies had absorbed the factory, only to shutter it weeks later. A strategic move, Knox had called it, citing profits and progress. But to Ivy, it was devastation. Her best friend had been fired unfairly during that merger, accused of mismanaging funds, though Ivy had known better. The shame, the stress. It had broken her. She had been driving home, overwhelmed and distraught, when her car veered off the road. She never made it back. And Lily lost her mother. Knox had taken more than Ivy's trust. He had taken her family. That night, Ivy sat alone in the dark, the article clutched in her hands, tears burning her eyes. How could I have let him in? How could I have let him near Lily? First, the bet. Now, this. She had been played and broken by the same man. The next morning, Knox arrived at Ivy's apartment, holding breakfast and a small stuffed unicorn for Lily. You didn't have to do this, Ivy said, her voice cold. Knox paused, sensing the shift. I wanted to. Where's Lily? With a friend. We need to talk. He nodded slowly, setting the food down. Is something wrong? Ivy stepped closer, fire in her eyes. I know about the bet, Knox. I've known for weeks. Silence. His breath caught. You thought I was too stupid to notice. I heard everything that night behind McDonald's. Knox opened his mouth, but Ivy raised a hand to stop him. You played your game, but guess what? I played mine. I watched you. I waited. I wondered if maybe, you weren't a total bastard. Her voice cracked, anger laced with betrayal. And then I found out who you really are. She threw the article at him. It landed at his feet like a bomb. Knox stared at it, color draining from his face. Ivy. I didn't know. I never. Don't lie to me. She snapped. That factory you shut down. My best friend worked there. She lost her job. She lost everything. She died because of you. Knox stumbled back, horror dawning. She was Lily's mother. Silence. You didn't just betray me. You destroyed us. And I will never forgive you. Her voice shook, but her eyes never wavered. Knox stood frozen, guilt consuming him. His empire, everything he had built, felt meaningless now. For the first time, Knox Wilder had no words. And Ivy walked away. Knox had faced hostile takeovers, cutthroat negotiations, and billion-dollar deals, but nothing had ever broken him like this. For the first time, he couldn't calculate his way out of the wreckage. He sat alone in his penthouse, the city lights glowing beneath him, untouched coffee in hand. The article Ivy had thrown at him lay on the table. Every time he looked at it, Her words echoed in his mind. You destroyed us. Guilt was no longer a fleeting emotion, it was a storm swallowing him whole. The next morning, Knox boarded his private jet, but not for another business conquest. He was heading back to the town he had stripped of jobs and hope. When he arrived, the streets were quiet, worn. Empty storefronts. Rusted gates. Shadows of a place that once thrived. He visited the old factory site first, now abandoned, graffiti scarring its walls. Standing there, he felt the weight of his choices in every crumbling brick. Knox didn't hide behind assistants or PR representatives. He met with former employees, face to face. Listened to their stories. Their losses. Their rage. One man spat at his feet. You took everything. My job. My house. My family. Knox didn't flinch. I know, he said quietly. And I'm here to make it right. Not because I can, but because I should have, years ago. He didn't expect forgiveness. But he would earn back something. That week, Knox founded a community fund, millions allocated to those impacted. Job training programs. Healthcare assistance. Scholarships for children of laid-off workers. He poured his wealth into rebuilding what he had torn apart. For the first time, Knox Wilder wasn't in control. He was accountable. Back home, Ivy sat on the floor of Lily's room, folding tiny shirts, her mind spinning. Knox had vanished for weeks. No calls. No texts. Part of her had been relieved. Part of her missed him. Lily held a crayon drawing up to her. It's you and me and Knox. He's holding my hand. Ivy's throat tightened. It's beautiful, sweetie. She stared at the picture long after Lily fell asleep. The smile on Knox's face in the drawing, it wasn't the mask he wore in boardrooms. It was the one he had shown Lily. And her. Was he changing? Or was this just another move in his game? But then came the news. Knox Wilder Funds Town Rebuild millions donated to support families affected by factory closure. Her heart stopped. The article showed a picture of Knox, standing in front of the factory, not as a CEO, but as a man stripped bare. He had gone back. Faced it all. Ivy clutched the newspaper, torn. Could she forgive the man who had taken everything from her? Could she deny the man who was slowly becoming everything to Lily? Knox stood in the heart of Wilder Technologies headquarters, looking out at the skyline he once ruled like a king. A place that had defined him. But now, it only reminded him of who he used to be. He walked into the boardroom for the last time, his voice calm but firm. I'm stepping down. Effective immediately. Gasps echoed. Protests. Confusion. But Knox didn't waver. I built this company on ambition and control. But I'm done chasing power for power's sake. It's cost me more than I can bear. He handed over the reins. Walked out of the building. Out of that life. Toward something real. Weeks passed. Ivy watched from afar, uncertain. Knox's name disappeared from headlines. No more luxury parties. No more power plays. Just silence. Until one day, he stood on her doorstep, no suit, no pretense. Just him. I gave it all up, he said quietly. Not to win you over. Not because of guilt. But because I realized. None of it means anything without you and Lily. He pulled out a small, weathered drawing, Lily's crayon picture of the three of them. She thinks I'm a superhero, he said, his voice breaking. I want to be that man. For her. For you. Ivy's eyes filled with tears. She had built walls so high, wrapped in pain and betrayal. But now, she saw the truth. He wasn't the man who destroyed her life. He was the man trying to rebuild it, with her. 1 year later. The sun poured through the stained glass windows as Ivy walked down the aisle, Lily at her side, a bouquet of wildflowers in her tiny hands. Knox waited at the altar, his eyes never leaving Ivy's. No games. No lies. Just love. Vows were exchanged, not promises of perfection, but of truth, forgiveness, and fierce, unrelenting love. That evening, Knox knelt before Lily, eyes misted. "I want to ask you something," he whispered. "Can I be your dad? For real?" Lily threw her arms around him. "You already are." Papers were signed. Tears were shed. Knox Wilder became Lily Quinn's father in every way that mattered. Months later, Ivy held their newborn in her arms, Knox beside her, his hand on her back, his eyes filled with awe. The man who once believed victory was everything now understood. The only true win was love. Knox Wilder didn't need to conquer the world. He had something better. A family.